Imagine standing on the edge of a battlefield, a place where every breath you take feels heavy with the weight of impending conflict. The air is thick, almost charged, as if the very atmosphere is alive with the tension of what's to come. Beneath your feet, the ground seems to tremble slightly, vibrating with the raw energy of anticipation that fills the space around you. Ahead, on one side of the field, stands an intimidating figure, a giant of a man named Goliath. His massive frame towers over the battlefield, casting a shadow that stretches far and wide. His very presence is enough to strike fear deep into the hearts of any who dare face him. His reputation as a fierce warrior, unmatched in strength and experience, has spread across the land, making the mere thought of confronting him almost unthinkable. He wears a suit of armor that seems as if it could stop 1,000 arrows, and his voice, when it thunders across the field, sends shivers down the spines of even the bravest soldiers. He is a walking nightmare, a symbol of insurmountable power. But then, standing opposite Goliath, is someone who couldn't appear more out of place. It's a young shepherd named David, a boy no older than a teenager, armed only with his unshakable faith and a simple slingshot. His clothing is nothing like the battle armor worn by the seasoned warriors around him. He holds no sword, no shield, only a small leather pouch containing 5 smooth stones. His appearance is unassuming, even vulnerable in the face of such overwhelming strength. Yet, it is in this very moment that the fate of the world will change. What David lacks in physical stature, he more than makes up for in something far more powerful: his unwavering belief that he is not alone in this fight. His faith in God's protection and guidance runs deeper than any fear that might be felt in the face of the giant. This moment, this unlikely confrontation, is one that will forever alter the course of history, not just for David, but for all of humanity. It is a story of courage, not from the strongest, but from the one who dares to believe when all seems lost. The young shepherd steps forward, resolute and unafraid, knowing that his strength does not come from his own abilities, but from his trust in the God who has guided him thus far. His courage will inspire generations to come, teaching the world that even the smallest, most unlikely of individuals can rise to face the greatest of challenges when fueled by a faith that knows no bounds. What David is about to do will become a legend. His battle against Goliath is not just a fight between 2 men. It is a battle between fear and faith, between doubt and trust, between the might of one giant and the courage of one boy with a heart full of belief. Welcome to the extraordinary saga of the unstoppable faith of David, a story that will forever remind us that with God, all things are possible. David was not a boy of grandeur or royal stature. He was the youngest son of Jesse, a humble man from the small town of Bethlehem. His life was simple, spent mostly in the serene hills tending to his family's sheep. To the outside world, he might have appeared as just another shepherd, unnoticed and insignificant among the many others in the land. Yet, there was something about David that set him apart, a quiet strength that emanated from deep within. He wasn't just a boy watching over his flock. He was a dreamer, a musician, and most significantly, a man of unwavering faith and profound conviction. He understood the world around him, not through the lens of power or might, but through the gentle and intimate relationship he had cultivated with God. This relationship would later prove to be the foundation upon which he built his courage, his strength, and his ability to face insurmountable odds. While David's peers were busy with the tasks of daily life, David spent his solitary hours in the hills, not merely watching his sheep, but nurturing his soul. He poured his heart into his music, playing his harp and singing praises to God, offering his deepest thoughts and emotions in the form of song. His time alone allowed him to commune with God in a way that most others couldn't. It was in those quiet, reflective moments that David's faith grew stronger. not just in the God of Israel, but in the conviction that he was never truly alone. His songs were prayers, his melodies a means of connecting with the divine in ways that words alone could not express. It was this connection, this deep spiritual bond, that would ultimately prepare him for the monumental challenge that lay ahead. For David, his faith was not just a belief, it was a way of life, a foundation for every decision and action he took. But how did a shepherd boy like David find himself standing on the battlefield of a war that seemed so far removed from his peaceful life in Bethlehem? The answer lies in the cries of a desperate nation. The Israelites were paralyzed with fear. For 40 days the army of Israel stood in the shadow of Goliath, the mighty Philistine giant, whose relentless taunts echoed across the battlefield. His words were filled with mockery and intimidation, and every day he challenged the Israelites to send forth a champion to fight him in single combat. But no one dared answer the challenge. The warriors of Israel, once proud and strong, were now reduced to trembling figures filled with doubt and terror. Their courage had failed them, and they were desperate for a hero to rise and defend them. In this moment of desperation, David, who had come to deliver provisions to his brothers on the battlefield, found himself facing the very same challenge. The taunts of Goliath reached his ears, and in that instant, something stirred deep within him. He felt a divine calling, a sense of purpose that transcended the fear and doubt that had taken hold of the Israelites. He knew that this was the moment he had been prepared for. This was the moment to answer the call. David's unwavering faith and his belief that God was with him stirred him to take action. He felt the weight of the Israelites' need, and he stepped forward, ready to face the giant who had terrorized the nation for so long. In that instant, a shepherd boy from Bethlehem would become the champion of Israel. As David stepped onto the battlefield, a profound sense of divine purpose enveloped him. The ground beneath his feet didn't tremble from fear, as it might have for any other soldier standing before such an overwhelming adversary, but from the intensity of the moment, a moment destined to change the course of history. Goliath, the towering giant, stood before him, laughing mockingly, his confidence oozing with every sneer. He was an image of invincibility, a warrior so fearsome that even the bravest hearts quivered in his shadow. Yet David, the young shepherd, stood tall, unwavering, his eyes filled with a determination that surpassed the strength of any physical weapon. "You come against me with sword and spear," David shouted defiantly, his voice ringing out across the battlefield. "But I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." His words were not mere bravado, they were the declaration of his faith. Unlike the heavily armed warriors around him, David's weapon was not made of iron or steel. His shield was faith, and his sword was the name of the Almighty. He wasn't just facing Goliath with his own strength, he was facing him with the power of God. As the giant mocked him, David's resolve grew only stronger. He knew that this wasn't a fight of might. It was a fight of faith. In the blink of an eye, with a single decisive motion, David swung his slingshot, sending the smooth stone he had selected hurtling through the air. Time seemed to stretch, each second feeling like an eternity as the stone cut through the stillness of the battlefield. Would it hit its mark? Would this unassuming shepherd boy, with only his faith and his slingshot, manage to conquer the great giant who had terrified an entire army? It was a moment suspended in time. David's future, the future of Israel, and perhaps even the future of all who would hear this story, rested on the outcome of that one stone. The air was thick with anticipation. Was this the moment where faith would emerge victorious over fear, where the belief that God could deliver even the most impossible of victories would be proven true? As the stone hurtled towards its target, every eye in the crowd was fixed on it, every heartbeat in unison. Hoping, praying, that this would be the moment that would defy the odds. And then, it happened. The stone struck Goliath squarely between the eyes, and in an instant the giant was brought low. He fell with a resounding crash, his great body hitting the earth with a force that reverberated across the battlefield. Silence swept over the crowd, quickly followed by a thunderous eruption of cheers and shouts of victory. The underdog had triumphed. The shepherd boy, armed with nothing more than his faith, had defeated the warrior who had struck terror into the hearts of Israel. David's victory was not just a personal triumph. It was the triumph of faith over fear, of courage over doubt. It was a moment of divine intervention, where God's power was made manifest in the most unexpected way. But as the cheers rang out and the celebration began, one might ask, what does this victory mean for us today? How can a battle fought so long ago continue to resonate in our lives now in a world so different from the one David lived in? The story of David and Goliath is not just a tale of ancient warfare. It is a timeless reminder that, with faith, anything is possible. It teaches us that no obstacle is too great, no giant too fearsome when we stand in the strength of the Lord. Whether in moments of personal struggle, in the face of challenges that seem insurmountable, or when confronted with fear and doubt, the victory of David over Goliath speaks to the power of unwavering faith. It calls us to trust in something greater than ourselves, to believe that with God, we can overcome even the most impossible of odds. David's remarkable story teaches us that faith has the power to conquer the giants we face in our own lives. These giants may not be as literal as the towering Goliath, but they take many forms: fear, doubt, insecurities, challenges at work, health battles, financial struggles, or personal hardships. Like David, we often find ourselves facing seemingly insurmountable obstacles that threaten to overwhelm us. But what this story demonstrates so powerfully is that when we place our trust in something greater than ourselves, when we lean into the strength of our faith, we gain the courage and resilience needed to overcome those giants. David didn't rely on his physical strength to defeat Goliath. Instead, he trusted in the power of God to guide him, to equip him with what he needed to rise above his fears. That same faith is available to us today. It reminds us that no matter how impossible a situation may appear, if we walk forward in faith, the power of belief can transform our challenges into victories. When we trust in something bigger than our own limitations, we unlock the potential to achieve what once seemed beyond our reach. So, what can you glean from David's incredible journey? The truth is, no matter how small or insignificant you may feel, you possess the power to confront the giants in your life. David's victory wasn't about his size or skill. It was about his heart, his unwavering belief in God's ability to use him in ways he couldn't even imagine. In the same way, it's not about the magnitude of your physical strength that matters. It's about the strength of your faith. When you place your trust in God, He can equip you with the courage to face anything that comes your way. You don't have to be the strongest or the most prepared to take on life's challenges. Just as David was a shepherd boy with no armor and no sword, you too can step forward in faith, knowing that you are not alone. If you've been inspired by David's awe-inspiring story and are eager for more incredible tales of courage and faith, don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button and become part of our community. Together, we'll continue exploring stories that remind us of the power of belief, perseverance, and the extraordinary victories that can come from the most unlikely places. Until next time, keep believing, keep fighting, and never back down from the giants in your life.